Hi, thanks for your time today. I wanted to give you a quick how-to on how to set up an Aruba instant for home use. This is going to be a full walkthrough of some of the best features and things to turn on to give you a really good experience at home and add a number of really neat security features. We're going to roll through this. First, we're going to touch on what an instant AP is. We're going to run through the initial setup, how to log into the device, and then some of the administrative changes to go through, and then finish up with how to set up an SSID and a couple troubleshooting tips as well. And then we'll finish out with some resources. Aruba's instant APs have been out for a number of years. It started in their 100 series APs, which are like Wi-Fi G and N access points. Today, they went from the 100 to 200 to 300 to 500 series. The 500 is the latest and greatest Wi-Fi 6 access points. 300 series is one of the AC Wi-Fi 5 series APs. Basically, an instant AP has all the software built into the access point, and when you connect multiple APs into the same network, same subnet, those APs will join and form a cluster together. They call that a virtual controller. So this is really handy, really easy deployment, where the first one you spend the time on to configure, any additional ones auto provision once they join the network. So a really nice feature on that. I do want to have a word of warning. If you're buying older APs from eBay or used, all the APs on the network have to be at the same firmware version to cluster together. So if you purchase one and you want to add it to your existing network, check the firmware before you add it in, and then get it up to the same version. There are a lot of the older APs, 100 and 200 series, are capped to the 6.5 code. If you're looking at the 300 to 500 series, those are running 8.6 code now. So just be aware of that. If you're upgrading, you may have to downgrade your firmware if you add some old APs to it for them all to work together. From there, let's jump over to a browser. Now, there's two ways to connect your AP. They are configured through a browser. There is a command line interface. The browser is quite user friendly, so that's the route we're going to go. When you first plug in an AP and it finally has a chance to boot up, it will broadcast a set me up SSID. You can connect to that, or if you know the IP address that your router has given it, you get to put that into your browser as well and connect to it directly. So from there, it will give you a login screen. If it's a gray screen, that's the 6 code. That will be an admin. Let me type a password in here. And if you get the gray screen, it will be an admin username, admin password. If you have a newer code version like I just showed you, it will be admin for the username and the serial number for the password for the first time you log in. Typically, it's the serial number is in all capital letters as well, so make sure you type it out correctly. Once you log in, as you just saw, it will ask you to immediately change the administrative password. We found that a lot of customers were not changing the password, leaving it at admin, which caused some real headaches for other network administrators later on. The next feature is you need to select your country code. So this sets the RF environment for that. So you want to align to what you where you're located in the world. And then additionally, you may get a pop-up option offering you a 390-day demo account on Aruba's central cloud platform, so you can take advantage of that as well. When you first log into the interface, it gets you right to the dashboard. This gives you an overall health of the network. You can see the number of SSIDs you're broadcasting, how many APs, and how many clients. Since this is a brand new install I'm walking you through, there's nothing connected as of yet, but you'll get statistics here on how well the network's running, and from there. You can also drill down and look at your different SSIDs. So if you're broadcasting multiples, you can see the usage on each and see the number of clients, how it's authenticated, channels, things like that. So, and then from there, you can also get an overview of the usage of your different APs. The one with the star is the master of the cluster. The one in control of the configuration. Once you add additional APs, that configuration is on each and every AP. So if this AP did go down, you unplug it, all the APs do have a copy of the configuration, and if you have multiple APs, they'll do an election on to who is the next master of the virtual controllers. So a very redundant platform in that sense. Clients gives you a quick view of your individual users. Again, we just booted this up from default, and it's not showing anything as of yet. From there, a couple other things to mention here. We're going to jump down to configuration. We'll touch on maintenance as well as support. All right, from the client screen, we're going to go down to configuration, and we're going to click on system. This here is where we can name the cluster. We use this a lot in business for different sites that may have instance. We might give the site name, but here we'll just type home-VC for virtual controller. From there, we can scroll down, and NTP is a network time protocol. And so this gives the ability just to do load in the time into the network. So if you're trying to troubleshoot something or an event happens, it has an actual time. So we're going to type in time.google.com. And then we're going to select the time zone where you're at. And let's see, I'm just having problems. Eastern time zone. And then the other two real key features you're going to like is the preferred network band. We're going to change that from all to 5 gigahertz. This is going to encourage your devices to join the 5 gig network over the 2.4, which is a good thing. More throughput, faster speed, things like that. The second thing we're going to change on this page is app RF visibility. This is what you'll see is the instant APs have a firewall built right into them. This is not the kind of firewall you would replace on your wide area network into your ISP, but a firewall on the wireless, so we can address security there right where the user is connecting. So one of the features, these two features you're going to enable do deep packet inspection on the network traffic, identifying all the applications. So we're going to change this to all. And then URL visibility is just that. It's going to identify your devices that are on the network, where they're going on the internet from a URL filter. So we can set up firewall rules on that as well, and security. We're also going to be able to hit show advanced options here at the bottom of the page. This is going to expand at a real granular level a number of different things. So one of the things to consider is if you have this AP in a hallway or a living area and you don't want the blinky lights, you can turn off the LED display by toggling this off. Additionally, the last feature here is time-based services. If you have family members, little kids in the house, you want to control when they can use the internet, you can set up some schedules, be it daylight hours, school hours, whatever, and define that here, and we can apply that to the SSID or to a user in the network. So some control here. So that's located here as well. So we're going to click Save here. And then as that updates, we're going to move on to RF. Oops, I guess it didn't save. Why is it not saving? There we go. From there, we're going to go to RF settings. You'll see that we already selected on the previous screen preferred 5 gig. The second thing we're going to change here is airtime fairness mode. We're going to change this to preferred access. This actually brings some intelligence into RF of how what devices the access point will service. Because Wi-Fi without this is just, you're only as fast as your slowest client. So if you introduce a 802.11b, G, or N product into your environment, that's how fast your wireless is going to be, unless you change this. So airtime fairness will actually service faster clients, AC, Wi-Fi 6 clients, 16 times before it will service a G client, that kind of thing. So this is a very good thing to turn on. We're also going to click on the bottom of the page, Show Advanced Options, and we're going to expand the access point control. And down at the bottom here is 80 megahertz support. We're going to turn that off. This sort of gives you an idea of the channel allotment for the different frequency bands. If we limit our RF to 20 megahertz bands, we got 24 channels to deal with. Wi-Fi is a shared media, meaning only one device can talk at a time on a channel. If you have multiple devices trying to talk at the same time, it causes a collision and the devices have to rebroadcast. This is a very narrow band, so as we move up to 40 megahertz, we have a wider frequency by bonding these two channels together. And with that wider frequency, we can send more data across it. So it's a faster speed. In addition, we can move up to 80 megahertz channels, which again is 4 20 meg channels or 2 40 meg channels. Again, makes it super fast, but the issue is that you're eating up all these other channels, and there could be a lot of neighboring devices in a residential area that are using these channels. And anytime there's a somebody on that channel, you can't use that your Wi-Fi, or there's contention in the wireless. So ideally, you want to turn it off to dial it back to 40 meg channels. You'll get more quality throughput in a dense residential area. So I highly recommend turning off 80 megahertz. We're going to hit save again here. It does need to reboot the AP for that to take effect. And let's see what else. Lost my, nope, not there. The next thing we're going to touch on is access points. We can, you'll see if you have multiple APs, the one with the star is the master of the cluster. This is either through election or through the first one booting becomes the master. So you can select an AP. You can rename that AP, so based on location in your house, first floor, living room, whatever. So definitely helpful there. And then from there we can also, we'll go over to networks, which is our creation of our SSIDs. Now the set me up SSID will disappear once you create your first SSID. So we're going to do test 1, 2, 3. We're going to leave it as a wireless, and we're going to leave it as an employee. Additionally, we have advanced options here. We're going to expand that. In the first option under broadcast multimedia is broadcast filtering. We're going to change that to disabled. ARP is a address resolution protocol. Is a feature that all devices use when they join a network. or trying to find services on the network, they'll do a broadcast asking the network, where is this service or this device? And this will filter that out by default. So in a residential setting where you might have a lot of neat multimedia devices and printers offering services, you don't want to filter that. You want to allow that traffic. It's not a big deal. Additionally, we can, I mentioned setting up time ranges. If you set up an SSID for your kids, you can set up a time range when that's on. So if you're trying to connect or control your kids' time online, you can limit it by assigning it to a profile, school hours, wake hours, something like that. You can also bandwidth limit your devices on this SSID in a very broad way. So if you wanted to rate limit stuff down to a certain amount, you can do that. Additionally, you can hide the SSID. Not a very good idea in the sense that it's really not giving you that much security. Or you can disable the SSID. So maybe you want to use it today, but you want to turn it off tomorrow. You can come back in and disable it. We're going to click Next. And then typically in a residential setting, I'll leave these both by default. This will allow DHCP on your network, your home router, to provide the IP address. Same thing with VLAN assignments. We're just going to leave it default in a residential setting unless you are doing subnets and VLANs. You could specify it if you needed to, but otherwise you'll leave that default and click Next. Here we'll get to the security settings. We're going to leave it personal for a pre-shared key. The industry standard today is WPA2. With the latest firmware on the 300 and 500 series, we do support WPA3. If you have a 300 or 500 series AP, highly recommend turning that on. If you don't bother. You'll assign a password here. Let me type that in. And then at the bottom here under fast roaming, we're going to also enable 802.11v. This is a feature, it's an industry standard. It will basically, the AP will provide information down to your client device about the network, available services from the AP, speeds, if there's other APs in the area that they can connect to, things like that. More information you can give to the client device, the smarter decision they can make on joining and managing their connection to the Wi-Fi. So this is a good thing to turn on. And then lastly, here's where a lot of security can come into your home configuration. By default, it's unrestricted, but if we go back and change this to network-based, we have the ability to create a number of firewall rules. We'll start from the bottom. When you enable the URL filtering or URL identification earlier, this gives us the ability to identify where the device is going. The Aruba Instant uses a service, URL filtering service from WebRoot, and they've identified a ton of different sites across the internet, from your normal trustworthy sites to high-risk sites such as known phishing or malware sites. So one of the things I would highly recommend you do is create a firewall rule under web reputation, high risk, and then click deny. So we don't want your users accidentally going to a malware or phishing site. We can also click the log button as well. From there, we're going to add another rule, and we can do web categories. So if you want to block a type of website, say again, if you have kids in the house and you have their own SSID set up, you can create filters for pornography, for drugs, for whatever you think appropriate to block or allow on your network. We can go through and you can see that we can pick various things for blocking. So anything else that looks of interest. that might be questionable for kids, hate and racism, keyloggers and monitoring websites, and so on. So this is all done through the service through WebRoot, and it updates accordingly. So we're going to pick all these, and then we're going to deny these, and we're also going to log them. So you'll see it added a full list here. Now, this is like any other firewall rule. It goes from top to bottom. So with that in mind, we always want to put the allow any to all destinations at the bottom. So we're going to highlight it, click the down arrow until we get down to the very bottom. That is at the bottom. That way, when it's going through the firewall rules, you want it to hit your filters first. So the high risk sites, all the things you want to block or rate limit, things like that, you want above the allow all. Once it gets through all those filters, if the traffic's cleared them, then you want to allow it at the bottom. The other thing I did mention, we can do time-based. So let's say we wanted to allow gaming sites or shopping or something like that. Only during certain hours of the day you can pick that. It's allowed, but only during this time period if you created a time range earlier in the configuration. The other settings here as well, application category is what apps do you want to allow on the network. If there's certain applications you want to try blocking, say streaming, i.e. Netflix, things like that, we can grab those broadly and block them. And again, you can do it based on time. So if you only want to allow certain applications on the network during certain hours of the day, you can do that by filtering it out. Then the application, this is application category, real broad bucket. If you know exactly the application you're trying to do, let's say we're trying to block Facebook on the network, we can allow somebody to get to Facebook but prevent them from playing Mafia Wars or Farmville or whatever, or sending, blocking, Facebook video. They can get to Facebook, but they won't be able to play the games on Facebook, things like that. So a lot of neat control there as well. Once we've done all that, we're going to click Finish. And in a few moments, that SSID will be broadcasting in your environment. And then in a few minutes more, this Set Me Up will disappear. So moving on to maintenance, if we click on the maintenance tab, you'll see we have a firmware update. You can manually update if you have an access to the Aruba support portal. You can come out here and find your firmware here from the APs. Again, typically you'll need a support contract for access to the software. But the good thing is you don't need that, since the AP can go out on its own and download the firmware. So you just hit the firmware page, check for a new version. It will check to see if there's what the latest version is available. You can also back up your configuration, or you can clear your configuration. If you're wanting to reset your AP, you can come to this tab and say clear config. If you needed to reboot the APs as well, that's located under maintenance as well. Last couple pieces here under support. This gives you a CLI, command line interface, into the AP directly from the GUI. So you can type in and look for a certain command. One of the best troubleshooting commands I found is for AP ARM history. This does, ARM stands for Adaptive Radio Management. That's Aruba's way of balancing out channel selection and power settings of the signal. You can click on the run command, and it basically is just like sitting in a terminal application and running this command, but all done through the web browser. So if you're having issues, this is a really good command to come in and check. You'll see if you're getting a lot of channel changes from one channel to another. or from, in this case, strength of power of the radio frequency. So you'll see it either go up or down. You'll see channel selections changes from interference on the line. So if there's microwave goes off, you'll see the 2.4 changing channels get around that. If your home is located near an airport, you may see a lot of radar detection changes as well for Doppler or regular airline radar signals. So the system will automatically change channels if it detects radar. That's sort of the walkthrough of some of the better features to consider changing and configuring. Other resources just to make you aware of, Aruba has a very robust forum community at communityarubanetworks.com. It's called the Airheads community. You'll find troubleshooting tips here, be able to post questions about the product. Additionally, there's a great guide on the instant APs called the Validated Reference Design Guide. This gives you best practices as well of how to deploy an instant network. And then lastly, Aruba has a wonderful YouTube channel called the Airheads Broadcasting Channel. Here you'll find hundreds of videos, how-to videos on how to configure different features across all their products. I hope you found this interesting and helpful. Please hit the like button if you did. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to put those in the comments below. But thank you for your time and hope you got something out of it. Have a good day.